At my daughter's sweet 16, my sister grabbed the mic and declared, "This party should be mine." My daughter smiled and said, "Then you'll love this surprise." My sister started screaming when the DJ announced. At my daughter's 16, my sister grabbed the mic and declared, "This party should be mine." My daughter smiled and said, "Then you'll love this surprise." My sister started screaming when the DJ announced. I never thought my daughter's 16 would turn into a battlefield, but looking back, I should have seen it coming. My younger sister, Amanda, had always been self-centered. She was the kind of person who made everything about herself: birthdays, weddings, even funerals. If someone else was in the spotlight, she'd find a way to drag it back onto her. It was exhausting, but for years, I made excuses for her. "That's just Amanda," I'd say. "She doesn't mean any harm." But this time, she went too far. My daughter, Sarah, had been dreaming of her sweet 16 for years. She worked hard to earn it, pulling straight A's while juggling extracurriculars. I wanted to give her a night she'd never forget, so I saved up for a beautiful venue in New York City, a rooftop ballroom with a breathtaking skyline view. It wasn't some over-the-top millionaire party, but it was elegant, tasteful, and most importantly, it was exactly what Sarah wanted. Everything was perfect. The decorations, the food, the music, it was all going smoothly. Sarah was glowing in her blue satin dress, her friends laughing around her as they danced. I was standing off to the side, watching with pride, when Amanda appeared out of nowhere, holding a microphone. I didn't even see her grab it. 1 second, the DJ was playing Sarah's favorite song, and the next, Amanda's voice blasted through the speakers. "This party," she slurred, because of course, she had been drinking, "this party should be mine." A hush fell over the crowd. Sarah froze on the dance floor, turning to look at her aunt. Amanda swayed slightly in her heels, her face twisted with anger. 16 years ago, she continued, I was supposed to have a party like this, but did I get one? No. Instead, she flung her arm in my direction, got pregnant and ruined everything. A collective gasp. "Cancel it. I want the money for a trip instead." I heard my father groan. "We already paid for your dress." "The caterer. The DJ." "Then unpay them," Amanda said. "I don't want a lame party. I want to go away. And if you don't give me the money, I'll just make it hell for everyone." The video cut off. Then the room exploded. Some people gasped. Others whispered. My mother, who was sitting at one of the tables, covered her mouth. My dad just sighed, rubbing his temples the exact same way he had in the video. Amanda stood there, frozen. Then, suddenly, she lunged for the microphone again. That was edited. That's not, but no one was listening. Because my mother, for the first time in my entire life, stood up and shouted, "Amanda, enough." Amanda went silent. Mom walked forward, her face red with anger. "You demanded we cancel your party. You screamed at us for weeks until we gave in. And now, 16 years later, you're blaming your sister for something you did?" Amanda shook her head furiously. "No. I deserved a party. I was just a kid." "You were spoiled," Mom snapped. "And you still are." The room was dead quiet again. Amanda looked around, expecting someone to take her side. But no one did. Her own friends avoided eye contact. My husband shook his head. The DJ raised an eyebrow, waiting for instructions. And then Sarah, with the most innocent voice, said, "Wow, Aunt Amanda, I really thought you'd love the surprise." Amanda's face turned bright red. And then, with an ear-piercing screech, she grabbed a glass of champagne from the table and threw it across the room. It shattered against the floor. That's when all hell really broke loose. The second the glass shattered, chaos erupted. Guests gasped. Some backed away, while others just stood there, eyes wide. The waitstaff froze mid-step, not sure if they should keep serving or start cleaning up. Amanda was shaking with rage. Her face was red, her hands clenched into fists. For a split second, I thought she might throw something else, maybe grab a plate or a centerpiece and launch it across the room. But before she could do anything, my mother grabbed her wrist. "Enough," Mom hissed through gritted teeth. "You have embarrassed this family for the last time." Amanda yanked her arm away. "Oh, I'm embarrassing the family? What about her?" She pointed at Sarah, practically spitting. "She just humiliated me in front of everyone." Sarah tilted her head, still perfectly calm. "You humiliated yourself." Amanda let out a strangled scream. Then she turned on me. "And you?" she snarled, jabbing a finger at my chest. "You planned this, didn't you? You let your little brat set me up." I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "Amanda, no one set you up. You did this to yourself. All Sarah did was remind you of something you said." "It was 16 years ago," she screeched. "I was a kid. And yet, here you are, still acting like one," my father said, his voice sharp. Amanda's eyes widened in shock. Dad rarely raised his voice. If he spoke, you listened. And right now, he was done listening to her tantrum. "You're 32 years old," he said, shaking his head, "and you're standing in the middle of a 16-year-old's birthday party, throwing a fit because you're not the center of attention. Do you even hear yourself?" Amanda opened her mouth to argue, but then she saw the way people were looking at her. No one was on her side. Not her own parents. Not her friends. Not the guests. Even people who didn't know the full story could tell she was acting like a lunatic. And that's when she panicked. She turned to her husband, Matt, eyes pleading. But he just stared back at her, looking exhausted. That was the first moment I noticed how tired he looked. Like he had been dealing with this kind of behavior for years. "Matt," Amanda whispered, "say something." Matt ran a hand down his face, exhaling slowly. Then, in the calmest, quietest voice, he said, "I'm done." Amanda flinched. "What?" "I'm done," he repeated. "With this. With you." You could hear a pin drop. Amanda let out a nervous laugh. "Matt, baby, you're just mad." "I'm not mad," he said. "I'm embarrassed." The words hit her like a slap. "You ruined your niece's party," Matt continued. "You stood in front of everyone and threw a fit over something that happened 16 years ago. And when it didn't go your way, you tried to break things." He shook his head. "I can't do this anymore." Amanda's hands were shaking now. "You don't mean that." Matt just stared at her. And then, without another word, he turned and walked toward the exit. Amanda's breath hitched. "Wait, Matt," but he didn't stop. And then, before anyone could react, Amanda ran after him. She was halfway to the door when her heels slipped on the champagne she had just thrown. She didn't just stumble, she collapsed hard. Gasps rippled through the crowd as she hit the floor, the thud echoing through the ballroom. For a second, nobody moved. Then, Amanda let out a wail. Not of pain, but pure humiliation. She sat on the floor, her dress soaked, her hair a mess. Her makeup, once perfect, was now streaked down her face. She looked pathetic. And the worst part? Matt didn't even turn around. He walked out the door, leaving her there. Amanda let out another broken sob. But no one rushed to help her. Not her parents. Not her friends. Not even me. And for the first time in her life, she realized she had truly, completely lost. Sarah walked over to me and took my hand. "Best birthday ever," she whispered. I couldn't help but laugh. But this wasn't over yet. Because the next day, Amanda would do something none of us saw coming. I woke up the next morning expecting the phone to ring. I figured Amanda would call our parents, crying about how we had ganged up on her. Or maybe she'd text me some long, rage-filled message about how I had set her up. Either way, I was ready for the fallout. But what I wasn't ready for was what she actually did. By noon, my phone was blowing up. Not from Amanda. From everyone else. My cousin, my aunt, even my co-workers, people who weren't even at the party, were messaging me. "Did you see what Amanda posted? Check Facebook right now. She's lost her damn mind." My stomach dropped. I opened Facebook and, right at the top of my feed, was her post. It was a long, dramatic rant. She had tagged everyone, me, my parents, even Sarah. And the moment I started reading, my blood ran cold. She had rewritten the entire story. In her version of events, we were the villains. According to her, I had always been jealous of her growing up, and when she was finally about to have her big sweet 16, I had selfishly gotten pregnant to steal the attention. She wrote that my parents had forced her to cancel her party for me, that she had been traumatized by it, and that I had never apologized. Then, she claimed Sarah had orchestrated the entire party as a way to publicly shame her, and that our parents had stood by and let it happen. She called me vindictive. She called Sarah cruel. She called our parents weak. And worst of all, she ended it with, "This is why I have no choice but to cut these toxic people out of my life. If you support what they did to me, unfriend me now." She was playing the victim. And the worst part? People believed her. Within minutes, there were dozens of comments from her friends, people who hadn't even been at the party, saying things like, "OMG, I can't believe your own family would do this to you. You deserve so much better, babe. Cut them off. You were right to stand up for yourself. Shame on them." I clenched my phone so hard my fingers hurt. I wanted to scream. How was she so good at twisting the truth? Sarah came into the room, rubbing her eyes. "Why is my phone blowing up?" I showed her the post. She read it in silence. Then she did something that shocked me. She laughed. I blinked. "You're laughing?" Sarah grinned. "Oh, Mom. Let her dig her own grave." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She took my phone and scrolled down to the comments section. "Look past the people who are blindly supporting her. Keep going." I did, and that's when I saw it. People who had actually been at the party were calling her out. "Amanda, that's not what happened. I was there. This is a straight-up lie. You embarrassed yourself. No one else did that to you. Wow. So you're just gonna ignore the fact that you threw a glass across the room? Even my mother had left a comment. Amanda, you demanded we cancel your party. No one forced you. We have video proof. Stop lying. Amanda was responding to them, but she was losing it. She wasn't just defending herself, she was attacking. Oh, so now I'm the liar? Funny how you all were silent when I was suffering for years. You're all brainwashed by her. I hope you realize how toxic you've become. If you're siding with them, you were never a real friend anyway. Good riddance. And then, the final nail in her coffin. Sarah pulled up a video. It was from someone who had been at the party. They had recorded Amanda's meltdown and they posted it. It showed everything. Her grabbing the mic. Her drunken rant. The video of her younger self demanding a trip to Paris. The champagne glass shattering. Matt walking away. The truth. And it had thousands of views already. Sarah smirked. So tell me, Mom, how do you think Amanda's gonna spin this one? I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. She can't, but Amanda didn't give up that easily. Oh no, because when lying didn't work, she decided to double down. And that's when things got really bad. Amanda wasn't going down without a fight. After her Facebook meltdown backfired, she did what she always did. She escalated. First, she started texting our parents. The messages were insane. You are dead to me. I hope you enjoy your precious perfect daughter and granddaughter because I'm never speaking to you again. You ruined my life. I hope you can live with that. Then, she turned on me. She left me 5 voicemails in a row, each one angrier than the last. In the first, she screamed that I had set her up. In the second, she claimed I had brainwashed Sarah into hating her. By the third, she was full-on sobbing about how no one ever loved her. It was pathetic. I ignored her. So she showed up at my house. I was in the kitchen when I heard the banging on my front door. Bam! 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 Then her voice, high-pitched and furious. Open the damn door, you coward. Sarah, who had been sitting at the table, looked up from her phone. Wow. She really doesn't learn, I sighed. Stay here. I opened the door just a crack. Amanda was standing on my porch, her hair a mess, mascara streaked down her face. She looked wild. Give me the video, she demanded. I stared at her. What? The party video, the one Sarah played. I know you have the full thing. I want it. Now. I raised an eyebrow. And why would I do that? Her jaw clenched. Because if you don't, I will make your life a living hell. I actually laughed. Amanda, you've been trying to do that for years. And look where it got you. Her face twisted in rage. I swear to God, I will, Mom. Sarah's voice interrupted. She stepped into the doorway, holding up her phone. Just a heads up, I'm live streaming this. You know, in case Aunt Amanda wants to rewrite history again. Amanda's eyes went wide. Then she let out a frustrated shriek and stormed off. I shut the door, locked it, and turned to Sarah. She's not done, I said. Sarah smirked. Neither are we. The revenge at first. I wasn't sure how to deal with Amanda. Cutting her off seemed like the best move, but part of me wanted her to feel the consequences of her actions. That's when Sarah came up with the perfect idea. Aunt Amanda hates being embarrassed, right? She said. More than anything, I nodded. Sarah grinned. Then let's make sure she never forgets this. And that's exactly what we did. Since Amanda had so much to say online, we decided to make sure the truth stayed front and center. Sarah's friend, the one who had recorded Amanda's meltdown at the party, posted the full video on every social media platform. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. And because the internet loves a good, entitled person loses their mind story. It went viral. Like, millions of views viral. Strangers were commenting things like, "This is the most satisfying downfall I've ever seen. Imagine being this bitter over a birthday party from 16 years ago. The fact that she demanded a trip to Paris instead of a party just makes this 10x funnier." The internet destroyed her. People found her public Facebook and started calling her out. Her old classmates messaged her, reminding her how spoiled she had been in school. Even her own friends started distancing themselves. But the real kicker? Her job found the video. Amanda worked as a real estate agent. Image was everything in her line of work. And now, she was famous for being completely unhinged. Her company saw the video and fired her for unprofessional conduct. She lost her job, her reputation, and, surprise, surprise, her husband. Matt filed for divorce 2 weeks later. Apparently, that party was his breaking point. He had spent years dealing with her selfishness, and the public humiliation was the last straw. He left, took the house, took the car, took everything. Amanda had nothing left. And just like that, she finally faced real consequences for the first time in her life. The final goodbye months passed. No one in the family spoke to Amanda. She was completely cut off. Then, one day, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. I opened it and immediately recognized Amanda's handwriting. It was a long letter. Pages and pages of her rambling about how I had ruined her life, how it wasn't fair, how I had turned everyone against her. And at the very end, in big, angry letters, she wrote, "I hope you're happy." I stared at those words for a long moment. Then, I smiled. Because, for the first time in a long time, I was. The end.